Live.
Hey. Oh, boy. Vote. Don't forget to vote. How's everybody doing out there in LAFF MOBB land? This is Uncle Bob, and welcome to Uncle Bob's Place to Be, the Comedy Spot. This is a new YouTube series that we'll be doing, I guess, every Thursday around this time, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm currently here in Los Angeles, California, and I just left the taping of this new show that's coming on BET with my man Kevin Hart and Chris Spencer. It's directed by my mentor Stan Lathan. It's called Real Husbands of Hollywood. I'm telling you, it's hilarious. And you know, as I was over there, I was reminiscing. As I was reminiscing in this collector's edition of Ebony, you know, Ebony is the Black Bible. You know what they say. And there's a story in here. And the story is, you know, based on yours truly. It's the 20th anniversary of Def Comedy Jam, a show that I've had the pleasure of being a major part of. And I was just looking at this picture right here. And, wow, it's kind of blowing my mind when I see some more, and Bill Bellamy and Steve Harvey, and God bless the late, great Bernie Mac, D.L. Hughley, Cedric, all of the kings and queens, as well as the Friday crew up there, Mike Epps, Chris Tucker, then there's Tracy Morgan and Marley Marr and Dave Chappelle and Academy Award winner Monique, and even the DJ, the Kid Capri. I mean, it's like I'm just reminiscing here about how it was 20 years ago. And let the truth be told, I know a lot of y'all been hearing about LAFF MOBB, and LAFF MOBB is a movement, and it really is. As I've moved out here to Hollywood from Jersey, big up to Jersey. I mean, big up to Jersey right now. I mean, you have no idea how heavy my heart is right now. But as I was just saying, as I've moved from Jersey to Hollywood, back to Jersey, you know, you never forget where you come from. I'm just thinking about that road, that journey that we took with Def Comedy Jam. And, you know, 20 years later, I feel as though it's very important to give the same love to the comedians of today that we did back in the day, because, I mean, these comedians now are like household names. So what I've done is I've joined forces with my partner, Arthur Spivak. Arthur managed Paul Reiser. You know, you may have seen the hit show Mad About You back in the day. Well, Arthur and we've put together this company called LAFF MOBB, LAFF MOBB, and I guess you could call it more of Bob's best. And what it is I've scaled the country no different than I did 20 years ago, and I found who I feel as though is the next comedians. I was in a documentary called Why We Laugh, and it was real interesting because at the end of the documentary, the question was asked, who's next? And I can very well tell you that I do hold the original recipe to the success of an urban comedian. And LAFF MOBB will tell you who's next, without a doubt. And that leads me into just telling you a little bit about what Uncle Bob and the Comedy Spot presents. It's going to present everything comedy. And one thing that I must do is introduce you to who's next. And I couldn't find no better way to kick off the initial episode, the debut episode of the Comedy Spot with, you know, I think this brother right now is one that is definitely going to make a lot of noise in Hollywood. And he's done his homework, and we're going to talk about that. He hails originally from Detroit, Michigan. I heard about him, actually. I heard a little bit about him in Detroit, but I heard a lot about him when he made that move to New York. But like any comedian, and we'll get into it, if you really want to make it, if you want to really become a star, and you know that's what we do, we make stars. If you really want to be a star comedian, you really need to be in Los Angeles. And believe me, this brother has come to Los Angeles, and he's getting ready to make a big name for himself. And right about now, I want you to put your hands together and welcome to the stage a rising star out of the LAFF MOBB family, Mr. Jay Alexander. What's up, Jay?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's happening, Bob? What's cracking, man?
Fella. What's going on? We got a little what's that show, The Voice? Is that The Voice when they turn the thing?
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
I choose LAFF MOBB.
So, hey man, what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna do a little, just chat. There's really no major topic for us today, because I mean my thing is about just talking comedy, and we can talk about comedy any way you want to, and I think that the way we do this is I'm not even going to be the guy with the questions. You're going to be the guy with the questions.
Okay.
This is like a reverse thing. I know it's my show, but it's your show, my brother. All right. So you hear it sounds like we on the East Coast, but you hear the sirens outside. Don't it sound like Detroit?
Yeah. Hey, you put a little gunshots in there. That'd be Detroit. That'll be Detroit. Definitely.
So what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. A lot of big things are going on. I'm trying to get the acting thing going. It's going pretty well. The stand-up is going excellently well. Staying on that stage, just getting funnier every day, man, and just getting my acting chops up more and more every day.
Well, I gotta say to you, man, it's a pleasure to have you here in the LAFF MOBB lab, as this is the debut of Uncle Bob's comedy spot. And I know that I said that you're gonna ask me some questions, but I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
And the first one is, what really made you come to Los Angeles?
The first thing that made me come to Los Angeles is knowing that you have to be in a place where dreams come true. You know what I mean? New York is a great place to be. Definitely a great place to be. But for comedy-wise, it's an excellent place. But if you want to take your career to that next level, you have to be where they're making the big blockbuster movies and where they're giving people who don't have names the opportunity to become big stars. So you have to come to the place where it's at. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to make it big.
So let me ask you this: what actually made you get into comedy?
Well, maybe get into comedy. Well, basically, the story is, everybody told me that I was funny, and everybody was saying, man, you should be on a stage, and they always said that I had a great voice for, just pretty much like for things like comedy, and I was always funny, man, just around the job and different things like that. And I actually had a comedian come into my job that was performing at the Coco's House of Comedy. I don't know if you remember that in Detroit. He was performing at Coco's House of Comedy, and he was like, "Hey man, you should come down to the show and all that." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come down to the show." And I actually didn't end up making it to the show that night because I had to work late. But I ended up getting another opportunity 2 weeks later, where a friend that I used to work with, that I didn't even know he was doing stand up. He was like, "Listen, man. Yeah, I know you want to do some stand up and stuff like that. I heard you talking about it before. Just come down to my show. I'll give you 5 minutes." And I did that, and I've been doing it ever since, man.
Really? And this was at Coco's?
Yeah, this is at Coco's House of Comedy.
In Detroit?
Yep, in Detroit, Coco's House of Comedy.
That's real cool that you was able to do that at Coco's, and it's funny because I remember Coco's House of Comedy, and Coco performed on Def Comedy Jam back in the day. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she sure did. She sure did.
And even with her, it was like from Def Comedy Jam, she got a radio show out there in Detroit. And then next thing I know, Coco done opened a comedy club.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember when Coco used to keep fifths down underneath her bra. You know what I mean? And now she got to make sure nobody else put a fifth down in their bra. You know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. Yep. She's hilarious.
Yeah, she is. She is.
So that was the beginning. And what, you just worked your craft like 5 minutes at a time, or how did that go?
I just pretty much just, you know, just built myself, man. And I just like you said, I just took a couple minutes at a time. You know, I made sure those jokes were hilarious, funny. I made sure that there was each joke that I said was a closer, a joke that I can end with or begin with or whatever. And I just made my set really tight, 2 to 3 minutes at a time, 5 minutes at a time, stored that away, started on a new 5 minutes, stored that away, started on a new 5 minutes, you know, and I just kept working it, man, and just continued to be funny and just love the game, you know what I mean?
So how long did you stay in Detroit doing stand-up?
I was in Detroit doing stand-up for 4 years. I was there for 4 years.
And then you decided to go to...
I decided to go to New York after that. It was actually kind of a toss-up where I was either going to go to New York, I was going to go to L.A., and I was kind of just, you know, right there at that fence, man, and I was like, which way do I go? You know, and I talked to a couple of veteran comedians that are from Detroit, you know, and they were like, listen, man, you know, you probably might want to go to New York to get your chops up and to get sharper with comedy. And, you know, and that's what I really wanted. I want to take the hard route. Like, I don't want to just, you know, be thrust into the spotlight. Like, I want to be ready for the spotlight. So that's why I went to New York first, to get my chops up and to get funnier. You know what I mean? And I think it worked out for me. So
how long did you stay in New York?
I was in New York 2 years. I was there 2 years.
Okay, so I'm kind of good. I'm decent with math, you know, not with algebra and geometry, but 4 + 2 is 6.
Yeah.
So you've been doing comedy for 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years. 6 years I've been doing comedy.
6 years. So you headlining and everything now, right?
Yeah. Well,
you know, don't say that, man. You go last. You go last. No, seriously, we're going to talk about that, but okay, so 6 years and now you're in LA. I like that a whole lot. Like I said, man, you're a real talented cat, and that's why, you know, I want you to definitely be a part of this LAFF MOBB team. But I just want to go back to, you mentioned something about you had 5 minutes and then you worked on more minutes.
Yeah.
That's real cool that you did that, because that's like when people ask me what should they do as a stand-up when they start. You know, my thing is 5 minutes at a time. You know, and as you work at 5 minutes at a time, you know, it becomes 10, it becomes 15. At 20 minutes, you're getting paid pretty lovely. You know, I think, and especially like in New York, where you could really hustle the game. You know, between New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut and Philadelphia, I mean, you can put together a nice $1,000 week. You know, and I mean, that's like the comedian that's not a headline. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically how you did it, huh? You just like put your minutes together and you worked on it and you saw what worked and what didn't.
Exactly. Well, you know, I just went through the whole process, man, of just finding out what type of comic that I am. You know, you look at other comics and things when you're first starting out, and you're like, oh, I want to be like that, and you're like, oh no, I want to be like that. Oh, I want to be. You know, I eventually had to find myself. You know what I mean? Like, and I think I did. You know, and I just pretty much just kept working towards that. You know, that's the advice, you know, I got to any comic that's up and coming, or any comic that's, you know, that's trying to find themselves. Just make sure you're doing what you know. You know, don't try to do what everybody else is doing. Do what you know, because that's what's going to get you to that next level. Because you can't talk about things you don't know about and things you can't relate to. You know what I mean? It just doesn't come across well on stage. You know what I mean?
Well, I can say this to you. You're absolutely right, because a lot of times when, you know, I'm asked, what am I looking for? I'm looking for you to be you. I'm looking for a comedian to be original, because, I mean, there's times when I go into a comedy club and it sounds like it's a comedy remix of someone else that I've heard before, or somebody just, I mean, there's nothing wrong with trying to find your voice, but it's very important to know who's in the building, because nothing worse than for me to hear someone else's joke almost verbatim. I will get up and leave and will never ever come back to see you again, because I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah, and it's so funny too, like, you know, like when you're a fan of comedy and you're in the comedy game, you know, like I am, like you are, and you know, you've been in it, you know, a long time. So it's like, you know, in the back of your mind, it's like a trigger that goes off. When you hear somebody say something on stage, you're like, automatically it pops in, like somebody says that. Somebody, and you work it a little bit and you're like, ah, I knew such and such said that, or whatever it is. And it's like, it's so crazy to see that nowadays, like comics that, you know, they can't be original, you know, they can't, some comics can't really write and different things like that. Like, you know, I still see, you know, like comics that been in the game for a while, you know, still doing shit jokes, you know what I'm saying? You know, like stuff like that, you know. So it's like, you know, I always try to think outside the box, and I always try to keep things really, you know, creative. But I'm also the type of guy where I say I'll take the funny over the creativity sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because if it's just flat out funny, that's my job. It's my job is to get on that stage and make you laugh no matter what. If I got to get up there and trip and fall and whatever I need to do, my job is to make you laugh. You know what I mean? Like I don't necessarily have to have you thinking and, oh yeah, you know, and this like that, you know, and they say something thought provoking all the time, you know what I'm saying? Right. But throw it in there every once in a while, but also just keep it funny all the time. That's the most important part.
Well, I know a lot of times, I mean, especially if you keep up with, you know, current events and stuff, comedians have the same premise. Oh, you know, you can have the same premise. But when you hear somebody just tell the joke verbatim, that's one thing. And then the other thing is keeping up with what's happening today with modern technology. Because I can honestly say I was on the road one time and the comedian told that, you know, basically it's the stock joke about when you know, the lady, you know, you laid the lady in the bed and she said she wants you to tie her arms up and tie, you know. And then at the end of the joke it was, you know, do anything you want to do, and then he says, I took the, you know, I took the TV, and you know, I was one place. I mean, this is in like 2000, maybe 9. Yeah. And the comedian's telling this same joke, and I guess he must have forgot that VCRs ain't in no more. He said I tied her up and I took the TV and the VCR, and I'm like, well, you can have a damn VCR because DVDs and Blu-rays are in. I mean, you really have to know what you're talking about. Yeah, you definitely, and that's like a sign of just being disconnected. You know, as a comic, you have to be a sponge for information. You know, everything that comes out in front of you, read it. You know what I mean? Like, have knowledge of everything, because you never know when that subject may come about, and you want to know about it. You want to actually be on stage and say something, you know, something real about a subject that's going on. You know, like I could talk about right now. I can talk about what's going on back to the East Coast. You know what I mean? Because I watch the news, I read the paper, I go on the internet, I see things and different things like that. So I can, you know, automatically just write material on stuff like that. You know, because I know about it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you have to be. So on that note, I guess you find it kind of interesting that Governor Christie and President Obama have become like running buddies, huh? Oh, yeah? Have you checked it out? Yeah, I have checked it out. That's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. It definitely is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Like, I really hope Obama, you know, gets back into the office. I really hope that. And I just want to really push this right now, take this time out to say, everybody get out there and vote. You know, whether you black, white, Asian, Blasian, whatever you are, you make sure you get out there and you vote. You know what I'm saying? Because this is very important. You know, I think Obama is going in the absolute right direction for this country. You know, not just because he's a black man, you know, because he's the right man. You know what I'm saying, for the job. So that's going to be the slogan. Not because he's a black man, because he's the right man. So y'all make sure y'all get out and vote, man. I tell you one thing, I know there's a couple comedians that's really hoping he stay in office. That way they don't have to write no new material. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. It's a bunch of Obama jokes out there and stuff. Some of them are really good, you know, some of them are you know, you know. Let me ask you this. Are there, like, what comedians in the past have pretty much been an influence to your career?
Well, I would say right off the top of my head, the comedian that's been the most like influential in my career has been Tony Roberts. You know, because he's from my city. You know, every time I see him, he's like hilariously funny. And you know, I mean, like when I first started, like I wanted to be Tony. Like I literally wanted to be Tony, and I'm like, oh man, this guy is so funny. You know, but again, you know, that's like you have to use that for inspiration, not just to look at somebody and be like, oh, I want to be that person. I had to learn like, okay, use that for inspiration. When you see that guy killing, that make you want to go home and write you a killer 5-minute, another 5-minute thing or another little bit or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like I had to learn how to use that for inspiration. But if I had to say anybody, it definitely would, you know, Tony Roberts would be like my number one.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know Tony's making moves right now. He has the new show with Bill Bellamy and Alex Thomas, two of my Def Comedy Jam alums, and I'm so proud of them. Where do you see Jay Alexander in the next 5 years?
The next 5? Shit, I'm talking about the next 2, next 1. Yeah, I'm talking about next month, Bob. What the hell, you know?
So I mean, what I'm asking you basically is, what do you want to get out of this comedy business?
Well, basically, man, I pretty much just want to be that household name. You know what I mean? Like when people think about Jay Alexander, they think about funny. You know, I just want to be that reliable source for comedy, that reliable source where you just want to feel good. You know what I mean? You had a bad day, you know, I want you to be able to go to, you know, my website or go to my YouTube or wherever, you know what I'm saying? Like just to get you some laughs, you know what I'm saying? Go to my Twitter or whatever you need to do just to get some laughs. I just want to be that reliable source of comedy, you know what I mean? And I just want to be a powerhouse in the acting game and in the comedy game. You know, but I'll always be a comedian, number one. You know what I'm saying? I think comedy is like the hardest job that you can have. You know, so if you can succeed at comedy and really, you know, like flourish in the game, you know, you can make your money off of it and stuff like that too. But if you can just really just be funny on a consistent level, I mean, that's great.
Cool. Just a couple other questions. Well, actually, not really a question, but I guess it is a question. You just mentioned Twitter.
Yeah.
So where could your fans find you?
Oh, fans, you can find me at J Alexander Funny. That's just the letter J. I actually spell it Jay, but you know how Twitter be hating on you with the names. So it's just J Alexander Funny. Y'all can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on my website, www.comedianjalexander.com. Again, just the letter J. So there you go.
And my final question, what do you think is going to happen with LAFF MOBB?
What do I think is going to happen with LAFF MOBB? Man,
Yeah.
I honestly think LAFF MOBB is like the next big thing that's you know, for it to happen to comedy. Like LAFF MOBB is going to be one of the landmarks of comedy. You know, it's going to be like I just said, like about being that place where you can just go for comedy and, you know, you can go to feel good. LAFF MOBB is going to be that consistent place. And it's pretty much, it's like, think about it like, you know, like the Marvel superheroes or something like that. You know, how they all came together and they made the Avengers, and that movie was great. You know what I mean? Like that's what LAFF MOBB is. It's getting the, you know, the Iron Mans and the Hulks and the Captain Americas and the, you know what I'm saying? Like it's getting all those people that's of power and putting them together, making it a big superpower. And that's what LAFF MOBB is.
Yeah, that's basically it. Because, you know, it's with you being from Detroit, this is a great way for me to begin Uncle Bob's comedy spot, because for me, LAFF MOBB is straight Motown. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're going to have our artists, just like Mr. Gordy had the Vandellas and Stevie and Marvin and the Temps. Jay Alexander, you're my Smokey Robinson. You know,
because I'm light skinned.
You know, we're gonna have our films. We're gonna have our Holland Doja Hollands, our Ashford and Simpsons, and what have you. So LAFF MOBB is definitely a movement. And Jay, I would just like to thank you for being my first guest on Uncle Bob's comedy spot. Okay. And it's just a pleasure to have you as part of the family, and we are going to have some big things going on. And you know, we have the new comedy space opening up on Melrose real soon, and you're going to be a major part of that. as well as other things. So again, man, I thank you for coming out to Uncle Bob's Comedy Spot. And hey, we're going to make this happen, brother.
No doubt, man. I'm really excited. Let's make it happen.
Cool. I'll see you later. You can flip that seat back around, my brother. Take care.